Hello, my name is Yogini Rasa, and this is Open Yoga classes for everybody who are willing to study yoga. This is our lesson number 5 on the December the 9th, 2014, and all the materials you are willing to explore are available on the yogaopenyoga.com website, and you can contact us by sending your questions, feedback, suggestions to the email address yogaopenyoga@gmail.com. So far we have studied topics like what is yoga and the lifestyle of ancient yogis, first, the second principles of yoga, and Dharma. And we are making big steps forward. And this is lesson 5, as I mentioned. And today we will explore the topic kinds of yoga. If you have any questions or terms that we are using now, and you have just started watching our lessons, and you are not clear about the definitions of Dharma or what are those first and the second principle of yoga, please take a look in our materials. They are both in a video form and there's text material, and they are supplementing each other. So if you take a look on one, it's suggested to take a look on the other one to have more comprehensive and the whole understanding of this area. Thereby, when you are done, you can pass the tests that are ready for you and also receive the certificates on the fact that you have completely the one topic or the other one, and you will see that nicely your first name, last name, the topic, and probably how much time have you spent on these studies. Well, but then let's get back to our main topic, and those are the kinds of yoga. But let's, before we approach to the yoga itself, we will take a look back in history, and hope you all should know, that yoga is very old teaching. It is very, very old, and we can't really tell how old it is, but definitely thousands of years old. Why don't we say the specific date? Because the people love to know who was born and when. Well, the writing was not available at that time, or also not that this teaching was firstly made in a written form. It was not disclosed to the people who are not secure or safe to be disclosed this information, and there was this method of passing the knowledge to the next generations by verbal form. So the teacher was giving the lectures or the teaching to their students, and then they were passing this knowledge on and on. And they had to remember enormous amount of information themselves, and also they were working on the discovery of this teaching. Also, if we now take a look, we have only the crumbles of this teaching. There have been quite a rough environment for this teaching to survive, even though it has survived in small forms. If we are not going to apply them actively, and we are not going to rediscover the ones that have been lost, then we will lose it at all. But we can compare yoga with the seed of the plant, and you have to put it in a soil, and then sometimes you need the winter season, the colder season, then you need this watering of the plant, more beneficial conditions, the sun from the skies, uh, for the seed to start growing. And there can be several seasons changing before the seed can start sprouting. When it starts sprouting, it makes the roots in all directions, and it shows its usually green part above the ground. And then it starts flourishing and forming the next seeds. And it can happen that somebody is going and cutting this plant. What does it do? Well, it might not grow that high, but it's growing lower, but still giving the flower, still having the seeds, and probably having even more seeds than before. And this is very helpful and good teaching for those who want to discover their full potential and realize it, and to have it implemented in their life. So, as well as the yoga is like tough teaching in a way that it survives in a difficult conditions, it has helped people to go through a very difficult life conditions, and thereby the kinds of yoga that we have, the strongest and the most powerful at the moment, are the ones that are working with the physical body, the ones that are helping to go through the difficult times and difficult circumstances. And only when we have uh, managed to study the lower levels or the basics or the foundation, we will be ready to go for more advanced kinds of yoga. It's like people are willing to study the very deep and very fine teachings when their life is an absolutely mess, and it would be easy to put it some order, but no, they say no, I have to go to this top area rather than going to the basics. But before your basics are on a good level, it's not going to happen. So we have quite a good foundation already today to explore the basics of our physical body and other things. Actually, as I mentioned, the yoga is heritage. It's from those people who are from the ancient civilization who discovered it or to whom it was given, and now uh, they had to go through the very difficult life period, um, thereby, and they were forced to migrate or to move their place of residence. And linguists and historic people related to history, they say that the yoga came from the north, but nobody really is aware about this specific north. Uh, was it north to the India, like Himalaya, or it was north to somewhere far in the north or the North Pole? Um, where where could it be? Because for each country, for each person, the north is somewhere in a different place. But they say that this teaching is very, very well connected with the Indo-European languages, the group of languages, and those nations and their migration, because a lot of Sanskrit and Vedic Sanskrit words are in those Indo-European languages. Thereby, they could be the most close related with this area. And actually, language and the pronunciation was the one that had the primer meaning in yoga, because the sounding of the words was the most important, rather than how we write it down. And they could not, even in their nightmares, imagine that pronunciation would be only second to the spelling, that it would be more important how they write it down rather how they spell it. So this is what we know. And those people from the north received the advice from their wise men that the tough and difficult times are coming and they need to migrate to the south, probably to the area of India or somewhere else where this teaching could be preserved, because otherwise, due to those difficult circumstances, yoga would be lost. And those people came together and they started moving slowly, where we don't know, and along with their way, some of the groups separated and stayed on somewhere on their way and continued in a way using the yoga teaching as their teaching. However, still, they had not reached their new supposed south residence, and their life conditions were so difficult that they were not able to kind of use this teaching of yoga to master it and to advance it. And what really stayed there was the really basic principles, basic kinds of yoga, the ones that are dealing mostly with the physical body and also ability to face difficult conditions and to kind of get through them. But of course, so when they stayed there, they formed their own, uh, again, nations or their own teachings or divisions or branches. Thereby, it was now it is now possible to see some very similar movements or teachings to yoga, like Sufism or Tantric Buddhism or some other, that if we take a look, they have very similar grounds, very similar principles, but the way it manifests itself or is explicit um, differ. So, and each of them made their own way. When you know the teaching of yoga, when you know the basic principles, when you kind of have fulfilled yourself with them and with understanding of them, you can see these different teachings, philosophies, religions. You can compare them, and you will always be able to find common language with these cultures, with these people, and you can always see where they go outside the reasonable limits or where they are outside the teaching of yoga. And this is very useful to know, especially in the circumstances like we are now. So also, as there are many ways we can express ourselves, then there are many kinds of yoga. There is not just one yoga. Of course, there is one yoga as such, but there are many kinds of yoga because we are different and we need different kinds of yoga. We can't all stand in a static position for 3 days and benefit from it because we all have different prehistory. As yoga would say, we have different karma, and we have to work with this karma and solve the situation and the benefits of us and the people around us. But the question comes, which kind of yoga is dominating? Well, and if we take a look in what I said before, we would say then those are the physical kinds of yoga. And those are the ones that help us to get through the difficult conditions. Actually, mostly in modern society or the developed world countries, we don't really fight for surviving, but there is different kind of surviving and different kind of tricks that are on a way that we need to overcome and where yoga can help us. And there are some other modern society disadvantages that we try to solve with yoga. Thereby, we also try to classify kinds of yoga, and there can be different kind of classification. And there are classical methods of yoga and advanced methods of yoga. Then there are the ones that are more was related to the more energy method and the method of consciousness. Then there are yogas that could help you with your profession or be related to your profession as well as creativity. So there is kind of yoga for each and everybody, and you get benefits in any way from yoga as it's necessary for you. But yes, you will benefit if you have a serious attitude to yoga, and doesn't matter what you do, you need this serious attitude and be ready to work with yourself. And sometimes there are areas or teachings that don't use the same word of yoga. They use different terms, different methods, different everything, but they are still in many ways they are yoga. So don't be confused, and not everything that is named yoga will be yoga. We discussed about that in previous times, and not all people who say that they are yogis or yoga instructors really are. So, but the same as with the doctors, teachers, professors, many different professions or IT specialists. You just name it, okay? And yes, there we just follow what people are doing, and we see their result, and that gives us some nice conclusions where we use our mind and intellect. And about those also kinds of yoga we'll talk on our today's class. Thereby, the core of yoga is above the words and ideas. But we have to try to catch the meaning. We have to feel it. So we have to dive in this ocean of yoga. We have to immerse there and try to kind of become part of it. And thereby we have this possibility to understand it, and we can turn any activity into yoga, and that means that we can revive it, we can rediscover it, we can again have this full amount of knowledge. However, this notion of this yoga knowledge, the ground, the fundament of it, is reached only by very long practice. And without it, it's nothing. It's just pretending or wasting your time, or it is something else but not yoga. Maybe some physical exercises, some other exploration of your body or emotions, but it's not yoga. And yoga axioms or axiomatics that our school is quite strong in is telling that whatever was rediscovered or was discovered can be rediscovered again and again, and that yoga is suitable for everybody. That every person who can use these methods, apply them in life, and be really good at these methods, as long as they follow certain principles and work. If you work with yoga and try to follow these principles, then the results are not going to make you wait. Thereby, it's but you have to do it yourself. Nobody else can do it for you. For discoveries, yoga is up to you, and each person doing it has to discover it. For example, imagine that you need to give a speech to enormous amount of people. It's a difficult task, right? Or you don't know how it is. You suppose, okay, you have to do it. You take the best top speakers, the top people who are training for the speeches, and they are sharing their experience, their advices, they're training you to do it. But as long as you are not stepping in front of the huge audience and starting to open your mouth and saying something and feeling how it goes back and forth, how they react on what you say, you know nothing about it, and only going in front of the audience and then analyzing it and going back and again analyzing and making some corrections, and this long practice helps you, and then to some extent you start understanding the language of your teachers and what they wanted to tell you, and at some point you probably come on the same level with them, or you join the team of teachers. So it's very helpful, and with yoga it is the same. As long as it's you are on your own, just having theoretical discussions, nice ones, see people smiling, it's nothing. But you really should start with some practical application of yoga, and thereby getting the benefits from this activity. So, this is for the beginning. So, we looked a bit in a history, we looked in a classification, and talked about the necessity to explore this yourself and to rediscover everything yourself. There. So, then let's start with the different types of yoga. Which yoga is dominating today in this world? Which is the most popular one? Or let's say, if you say word yoga, they automatically think, oh yes, this is that one, and this is Hatha yoga. I would say pure physical from the outside, and it is mainly the yoga directed towards our physical body. Actually, what we see are the different poses that people are taking for a certain period of time, and then they are switching to something else. Today, there are probably some 80 or 90 the most popular poses that people use, but actually there's an enormous number of poses, and if you are not doing you can't do anything wrong in yoga, in Hatha yoga, because if you're not doing one pose, you are automatically doing other pose, and you should not get worried if somebody is telling you that you are doing wrong, because there are very many poses that you can do, and they are very beneficial for our low activity lifestyle. We love to sit at the screens. We work a lot when we are sitting. We are moving less and less because there are cars, there are public transportation, there's everything to make our life comfortable, but at the same time, we have very limited number of movements. And actually, our kids are the ones that are suffering the most due to these innovations or new lifestyle, and we are in a kind of forcing them to start moving. Uh, Thereby, Hatha Yoga is a very good one. Uh, Probably you have heard that these poses have different names. And sometimes yoga instructors are trying to compete who is knowing more names of the poses and are like, do you really don't know what's Paschimottanasana or something else? So and people are like, what? Then tell you the truth. There are different names for the same poses, and there are um, some names, the same name for different poses, and vice versa. So it means different name for the same pose, and there can be. Well, I hope you understood me what I wanted to say. So, and some of those poses and the names have been invented during this time because a lot of them, those poses, are invented from their likeness to some animals, like cobra pose, or some objects like chair pose or lotus pose. So they kind of try to make these associations with something else, and thereby it's not like the measure of mastery that you know poses for 80 or 90 postures. Sometimes they also don't say poses, they say asanas. Well, as you wish. Also, the ashram, it's just a university or the school where you are learning. So it's just when we say namaste, it's also thank you, but it's more like bringing something artificial in our life. It's the same thank you or welcome or great to see you. But if you feel that this helps you and that you would benefit from the names of the poses, go for it. Study them. It's just very good for your mind. Maybe it's a good idea to learn Sanskrit too. So let's see if how well it agrees with the second principle and the principle of efficiency. Actually, Hatha Yoga itself, by its action, pushes our mind to open up and realize how it all works. Hatha Yoga is a pure physical yoga, but as we consist not only of the physical body, but also we have our emotions and consciousness, then actually there are three groups of bodies. It's the physical body, the fine body, and the causal body. And there is the substance that we call prana. It is the manifestation of our supreme self in this world. And this substance of prana, very fine one, is kind of gluing all three bodies together. Actually, there is the physical body, there are emotions, and there are causal body, and your supreme level or supreme logic or intuition, and they're separate ones. But yes, you need prana to glue them together. And so, in this way, when you start working on the physical body, it leaves the effect on all the other two levels of this or being and essence. And Also, we apply two methods. In our school, we have two principal methods that are going through everything that we do. And those are the method of energy and method of consciousness. In the method of energy, if we are making any pose, we take this pose approximately. Somewhere close, somewhere far, but we take the approximate position and then we try, hope or wait when the awakening energy is going to adjust our body and put it in the right position. And we kind of relax in this position, in this approximate position, and we wait. We wait, we analyze, we follow what is going on, but no pressure. And we enjoy this kind of pose and doing this pose this way. And it's like mom. It's very soft, very mild, very gentle. And then comes the method of consciousness. In this method, we try to force ourselves a bit. We make some effort. We see the posture. We see how this pose should look like. And we try to get to this pose as close as possible. If it's not working absolutely this way, in a perfect way, we do it as close as possible and make a certain effort from our behalf, but we are doing it in a kind way. We are forcing ourselves, we are pushing to our limits, but always in the background we feel joy. There is no violence, we are not being cruel to ourselves. Of course, if we need to train our ability to concentrate, then this is the perfect method, like the father's method. But actually, with none of these, you can reach the goal. What you need is, you need to combine these two methods. And on the combination or switching of them, feeling when you have to move from the energy method to the consciousness method, you will find the harmony. That always has to be on the background, this harmony and joy. And we make the pose, we do the pose with the one method, then we switch to another method. We make a small breaks in between and we try to find this balance. The same in our everyday life. We know where we have to push ourselves and where we have to kind of relax and enjoy being in an approximate position and waiting. So, and it's nicely going one way and the other. And this is that comes with your practice. Without practice, okay, you say, well, I'll do the soft method, I'll do this more approximately, and then I'll force myself to the extremes. And then, yes, really the notion comes with the time, but first practice, and then you get some information and knowledge how to do it. So, when we work with the Hatha Yoga, we also develop not our physical body, but our intellect. And the explanation is not really difficult because we learn to concentrate. We learn to overcome ourselves when we say, oh, maybe not today, tomorrow, yes, tomorrow. But you know that you have to do it now. You make yourself, you do it, you spend there a certain amount of time, then you release the pose, exit from the pose, and relax, and you have done it. The same like with household chores. Well, dirty dishes, yes. But can we watch the movie tonight and dishes for tomorrow? Or Do you really have to cook today? I'm a bit tired, you know. The kids, well, let them do what they want to do. But you have to kind of go quickly, get the things ready, and then you are up to yourself and do what you like. The same with your work, with your studies. Always this willingness, oh, maybe I can postpone something. The thesis paper is in a month. I need maximum 2 weeks, so I have 3 weeks now rather than having these thesis made little by little and not forcing yourself in the last week when you say, oh, 2 weeks left. Oh, well, 1.5 should be enough. I can manage that. So you are working Hatha Yoga, you know where you can relax, where you have to force yourself, where that you are learning to concentrate, and your intellect is becoming more powerful, more strong, and then you can go to more advanced yogas because Hatha Yoga is a good foundation for advanced yogas. Advanced yogas are the ones that are require quite a lot of physical energy and they require quite a strong body. Thereby, you need a good foundation. And I said there's not much use in talking about the advanced areas when you are weak and in in the basic ones. If we talk about starting practicing this yoga, um, it is preferable to start your practice with the instructor. In a group or individually, better start in a group. And then it is a possibility to avoid many, many mistakes because you see the people coming to your class. I see people coming to my class and they make the same mistakes over and over, over and over. These are the first steps. And you have to kind of let them make them, but also you gently kind of try to bring them on the more proper track. But you would never say that this pose is wrong. You would never say it, and you allow the person to explore themselves in a gentle and secure manner. Okay, so but of course, if you don't have a chance or you don't want to have an instructor, you do it yourself. You can do it yourself. This means that you have to take on the certain risk that you will make mistakes and you also have to kind of accept that you might slow down your progress in the future. But when you have done this group practice with the instructor, then you are more than welcome to make your individual practice. And it's necessary to have it from time to time. Actually, you need from time to time the group practice or to work together with the instructor. But the foundation, again, is the individual practice. When you make your own program for the Hatha Yoga, you would probably choose some 5 to 7 different poses and go in a way that if you are bending forwards, then you will need to bend backwards. If you twist to the right, you twist to the left too. There should be some standing position for balance. There should be some power pose where you need more energy. And there also should be a pose that you want to master, that you want to learn that is more difficult, but you have made your goal, you have defined your goal that you want to learn it, and then you little by little explore it. But more on this, of course, in our future lessons when we will speak more specifically about the Hatha Yoga, because there's a lot of to explore. And when returning to the methods, uh, the ancient texts say that you need both mother and father, like meaning the method of energy and method of consciousness, in order for the baby to be born and for you to succeed in the yoga practice. So, and for the yogi, yes, you need the method of energy and method of consciousness. And what result could it give? At first you would say, oh, okay, I feel somewhere I get more flexible, I get more stronger, or I can do something more and more or longer. I can stay in a position for a longer period of time. But also, you will start feeling which food is good for you and which is not. You will analyze your emotions after certain postures. You will start feeling how much time you need for sleep when you sleep when your sleep is not enough and when there's too much, and you will feel those emotions, and you will get closer to the harmonious lifestyle. That is quite a lot, right? When we live in stressful conditions, our ability to keep the score or inner life or inner status, inner pose stable is very valuable, not only for you but people around you, and this feeling that they can rely on you rather than you circle, help, help. Yes, rather than okay, this is a problem. This might be the solution, and you just analyze and go working on this. So, also one of the kinds of the Hatha Yoga that you might have been familiar to is the prostration yoga. Different teachings, different religions, different areas have these kind of prostrations. Certain number of movements that you need to do in a certain probably sequence, and they are like the keys to our inner world and working with our ego or emotions. But yes, this is what you have to explore yourself. What we know is the sun salutation and moon salutation, or Surya Namaskar and Chandra Namaskar, also some Sanskrit. In prostration yoga, breathing is not that important. It is important, but when you do Surya Namaskar or sun salutation, write down the Google down what does it mean if you are not aware of it. Every posture there is inhale, exhale, and then at the bottom once you hold the breath. Here, no, this process happens naturally. And for yoga beginners, posture is difficult. Sequence of postures is more difficult. And sequence of postures with the breathing, specific breathing, is something out of possible. So no worries. Try to find more about prostration yoga, and this is very useful thing to do. So I hope we'll have a material on this one too. And it is very good to do it on everyday basis, and it's just a flowing from one position to another, and very useful for the body. And then in this way, we all have to find our own rhythm. Also in Hatha Yoga, even if you're set, you have to spend 5 minutes in a certain position. You need the summary of time. It's not the most important that you can bear 5 minutes in a row, but you can spend there 30 seconds, then you can spend a minute or 20 seconds in between resting. So it's just naturally how it goes. You can't do everything right away. You would, if you will do it, and if you will force yourself, violate the first principle, you will say, start hurting everything. You can hurt your back or hurt something else, and you say, no, no, yoga is not for me. It causes too many problems. But you, when you just probably didn't know that there is this method of harmony and being gentle to yourself rather than just forcing yourself and not really thinking how it goes. Okay, um, next one. We deal with Hatha Yoga. We spend the most time on it because this area of yoga is the most popular one. It's physical. It's almost as whole left to us, and all we need is the practice. And there are the largest number of yoga instructors working exactly in this area. Um, but the good yoga instructors are in the words of gold and diamonds. So I'm wishing you really to find your yoga instructor through whom you see this process of helping and exploring yourself. So the next type of yoga is Kriya Yoga. Mm, from aspect of the outside, it is repeating of cyclic movements. There's a certain sequence of exercises or poses that you are repeating in a certain sequence. It looks physical, but it's more internal than it can look. And why we have this yoga? We have to do certain amount of movements every day or in a certain period of time, but we have lack of these movements. We are sitting at our screens, and this is almost the same like the ancient yogis were sitting for the meditations, and they had the lack of movements. And luckily, we are in the same position. So what can we do? We can take this. How they saw the situation, it was with Kriya Yoga, and we repeat for a certain period of time in a certain sequence, with certain poses. Actually, it is like when we learn the alphabet. Before we start reading, we learn the alphabet, A, B, C, D, and so on and so forth. And when we know the alphabet, we can start forming the syllables, we can start forming the words. In the same way, we could start, if we have learned these kriyas, as we call them. The postures are the kriyas, the active movements. We can start making our own sequence. But professional yogis really stay to the original sequence, even if they are doing the same thing over and over. In the very beginning, you learn the sequence. It takes about 27 times, less or more, depends on the person. And when they have learned it, actually their body becomes automatic. The body is doing the exercises, and your mind is not even thinking. And they actually are made very well, that from one position you automatically go in other position, and there are not many transformation moves that you would need to do in order to get from one position to another. And it is a good way to, if Hatha Yoga is too difficult for you in the very beginning, then you can start with Kriya Yoga. It reminds initially more of the active exercising, something like aerobics or gymnastics, but physical education at school. Um, then when you have kind of finished this physical level, when body is working automatically, you are going on emotional, the thought level, and then at some point when you are able to switch off the thoughts, you are able to get to your core and to your inner self, the causal body, and this gives wonderful emotions and some ecstatic feelings that you might explore and experience. Actually, our body and our emotions and everything that's related, or groups of the all three bodies, are like the deposit that is locked, and or the labyrinth that we have to know. Oh, here we have to turn to the right. Here we have to turn to the left. Then we go straight. Again, back against right, left, and it's like opening the safe deposit, and the same we are opening ourselves. We discover, we explore, and it's very, very important and very, very useful. And as I said, it's a good foundation for the advancing to the Hatha Yoga. When I started my yoga practice, um, I didn't like Hatha Yoga too much because I couldn't really bear this position in motionless movement, or seeing the instructor there and trying to repeat the postures. I didn't find it exciting, and I was used to the more active movements before, and I felt like I'm going to fall asleep because my mind was like going, whoo, thoughts were there rather than concentrating on my body. Uh, I was simply trying to repeat those postures. They were working, but I didn't spend enough time on them. And when I started doing Kriya Yoga, I started feeling that I can spend more time in Hatha Yoga. Actually, the final round of the Kriya Yoga, at the moment there are available 3 rounds. First round, second round, and the Shakti Kriyas are something like Hatha Yoga poses, only we repeat them. Uh, and we can repeat them fast. We can repeat them slow. And some people think, oh, if I will do it faster and lift my leg higher, then this will give more effect. No. And this is also the reason why it is beneficial and required to start practicing Kriya Yoga with the instructor. Afterwards, yes, you can do it on your own, and from time to time to spend in a group and to feel some more development or larger step forward. But yes, without that, no, it's a delusion that by faster or let's say higher movements you will reach something, but it will give a better results. No, actually, very experienced yogis are just alternating, depending on how they feel. They alternate the speed. For some exercises, some poses, kriyas, it's faster. For some, slower. On some, they omit. So it's a very interesting practice, and it makes you to follow your feelings. And if you get at least the smallest negative feeling, what you do, you slow down or you stop, because then you will not, if you are not feeling well or dizzy or headaches or something else, you will have this focus on this feeling. You have to kind of try to switch up the physical body, switching up the thoughts, and then going deeper and requiring the experience. Because yes, Kriya Yoga looks much the same as Hatha Yoga, but the focus is made on inner feelings. A good start point for those who want to do it. Sometimes the Kriya Yoga is called also active meditation because of this emphasis on the feelings. And this background of physical movement should uh, create this shift to the inner world. Because then we understand that we are not the physical body, we are something more and something else. Okay. And also one more benefits when you will see how well you succeed is that you feel this more energy. You are working actively, you are using your reserves of the body, but as the result that you don't think, and that's consuming more energy than your physical movements, there is a release of the large amount of prana. So it's a good place to start. So these were the two basic yogas and the classical yogas, Hatha yoga and Kriya yoga. Good to mix them both, do one and the other. And if you have your yoga diaries, then you should mark for yourself what kind of exercises or poses you do, and how many times did you do Kriya Yoga, and which rounds did you do first, second, and Shakti Kriyas. Okay, so the third kind of yoga I will talk today about is Pranayama Yoga. We all can breathe. If we can breathe, we can live. And through breathing, we can do quite a lot. But it's not simply some breathing exercises like some interpreters or some adepts want to show it, because there's not much information about this powerful yoga. And yes, it's not just inhale, exhale, increasing of amount of oxygen or purification of your lungs or your body. It is far more, because it has, as the name shows, direct connection with our prana, the basic manifestation or the primary manifestation of our supreme self. And it is required that it happens like that through the breathing we work with our nervous system, and also the system that is it's very fine. We start off very fine and non-obvious mechanism of prana accumulation. The more prana we have, the more energy and consciousness we have, the more we can do, the more we can succeed. And sometimes people understand that prana is pure energy. It's not right, not exactly. Prana is both energy and consciousness. Sometimes, and when there is one, there will be another one too. So there is no energy without consciousness, and no consciousness without energy. So when there is energy, there comes the consciousness. When there is consciousness, there comes the energy. And actually, they both form the prana, or prana consists of them, or forms them. But you can have this and that there. Okay, it is dangerous practice. If you don't have experienced instructor, and that's the problem, there are not many of them, then I wouldn't risk to do it on your own, because a lot of people find it very easy. They learn some exercises from the internet, from from somewhere and they say, okay, I have lack of prana, I don't have energy, I will do pranayama yoga. And they start excessively doing these breathing exercises. And then at one point they are feeling really, really bad. There are many small things that need to be observed, that you have to know. You can do it on your own, but be ready for very many mistakes. And the primary thing that you have to remember after the pranayama yoga exercises, you have to lay down and rest. This is called shavasana, or resting pose, or lying pose, or whatever. You just lay down and relax completely in order for the things to get more harmonious and to work where they need to work. And be ready. Yes. So, of course, it is very disclosed science and very tricky one. And it's very nice to combine it with Hatha Yoga and Kriya Yoga. As I said about Hatha Yoga, there are those sun salutation and moon salutation requiring certain breathing. But actually, if you do things harmoniously, this comes naturally. You won't have to be given where to inhale, where to exhale. As like now, I'm just breathing in and out. I even don't notice how it works. So as long as I'm breathing, there is this prana mechanism working and things work out. Okay, quite shortly about this one. Then we have mantra yoga. And this is what I'm doing right now. It's kind of practice of mantra yoga because most of us have this ability to talk and to make some sounds. And actually, speaking process is not that easy. It's connected with the thought creation process, and it is strictly connected to our Kundalini energy. This is the basic theory of yoga. We're not yet talking about the Kundalini energy, but just to mention mantra yoga, thought form, Kundalini energy. Thereby, we cause these vibrations of the sound, thought, and thought forms. And each form has a sound or mantra. And for each mantra, there is a form. So if you can make this sound, this vibration, and if you are strong, powerful, then you can create some form here. And also, when you practice mantra yoga, you get very many benefits. And first one, as the opposite to pranayama yoga, it is very secure. There's almost no possibility to make mistakes. When you practice the sounds, you can release a lot of tension, a lot of stress. There are some teachings, some practices that are intended just for pronouncing different kind of sounds, the same as singing or a different way of expressing yourself, that if you have kind of locked something inside you, then this sound is helping you to release it. Also, the sounds that we hear are wonderful vibrations, and they can show the problematic areas, and they can show some beneficial impact on these areas. And words are mantras. So when you can use 3 types of mantras, and those are mantras of consciousness, mantras of energy, and mantras of names. You can pronounce mantras loudly, you can pronounce them quietly, you can pronounce them in your mind. And there are a lot of more things that we could discuss about this type of yoga. I will simply mention that people in the West are not very um, eager to use this kind of yoga, even though it's very powerful, because they just don't believe it, they don't trust it. And they say, what's the use of pronouncing, like saying letter ah, or mantra or mantra om? You say, oh, it's just a rubbish, what's the use? But if we would take a look on the masters of speech, you would say this is a very powerful skill to be a master of words. The people with a powerful and nice voice, they create certain emotions, certain notions. But what you do, of course, it's your right not to believe in anything that you are not familiar to. But if you are not familiar, who is like keeping you away from getting to know it? Start with the most simple sounds. And when you see results coming, you start trusting the method. We can't do much of the theory because it's lost. It's your possibility to rediscover it. But yes, just work on it, and you will see how powerful it is and how much benefits it can give. So, a good thing to practice secure if you find instructor. It's great luck. Okay, one more yoga or kind of yoga is Jnana yoga, where we can say it's the yoga of intellect or yoga of knowledge. We have intellect, and this our principle of mind, or our mind is the one of the basic principles of our universe. It was created as one of the first after the creation of time and space. And this means that we have ability to analyze. This is the level of logic. Um, and it invites us to analyze whatever we can. It invites us to develop our intellect. Thereby, we have to sharpen our mind, and we also have to put the mind under control. Because sometimes the very advanced mind is more inclined to be pessimistic rather than optimistic. And when people are very much into the logic, they feel much more unhappy than those ones who are less educated or less intellectual. But they are not them asking those tough questions about the meaning of life and what the life is. Because mind is a good thing, but it's not everything. And we should not allow our mind to become our enemy. We have to have it to work in our favor. So, strong mind is when being out of control can be a monster and create a lot of suffering to us. Um, so, yes, that's the danger of Jnana Yoga. But it's a good thing to know, and we need a good physical body, we need a strong voice, we need the knowledge, we need this movement, and we need the prana to do this. So see, there's a combination. They all are somehow interrelated, and they all, if you are kind of blocked in one area, you take the other one. as your strong tools. Then there is one more very interesting yoga, that's Raja Yoga, and we could say it's the management yoga or the president's yoga. This is related to the aspect of power, to the aspect of hierarchy and the order. Um, Actually, we really appreciate those people who are good managers, good presidents, good leaders. It's not such a difficult thing to get to the power. Uh, you can be elected by a mistake or not by a mistake, but it's more difficult to keep this power to if you have gone to this power, then you would probably have to know what you are going to do. And what you are doing, those you need this power. For example, from the different area, we have our body. We have a large number of cells in our body. And actually, if they would say they are working for us. And if one day they would say, no, I am tired, I don't agree with your power, now I am on my own. Sorry, but the body will die. But they know this hierarchy and they are working in our favor. It means that in the future they will be in more beneficial condition for their growth, development. Thereby they are following this principle of hierarchy. And we ourselves, if we want to learn to use our power and to control other people, we at first have to learn what does it mean to be a subordinate. So we have to be under some control, under some hierarchy, but on the lower positions, just in the future to be able to understand how they feel and what does it mean to be in this hierarchy and how to use it in a proper way. So if you are the manager of a company, your own, or you are head of some department, well, if there are some people that you need to control, and this is a very important, responsible duty. You have to know how to do it because it is good to have the leader who are directing you because if you don't have this understanding, then you might bring people with you, especially if you are strong in your voice, the mantra yoga, but you will bring yourself and them in the wrong way. So it will give some worse circumstances later. And today we will talk about one more yoga because our time is coming to the end and there are so many kinds of yoga. I would love to talk about with you, but we are limited in time, and it is Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga is related to our work. And in this kind of yoga or this branch or this direction, the work is not seen as the slavery like a lot of people think, but as a great chance. There is karma, the law of causes and consequences, and we are in a certain position where we are right now, in a plane of karma, and we have some good deeds and bad deeds. We have done something good and we have done something bad, and now we are in the middle, in the mixture of the consequences. And actually our work is the good chance to work on this area and to be more successful, and to leave actually the plane of karma. That's the aim of the karma yoga, to leave the karma plane of karma. And actually, in karma yoga, we differentiate three types of people. The first one, or in this situation, the lowest one, is the people who go to work because of the fear. They are afraid that they will lose job, they will have no money, they will have no food, and so on and so forth. They are afraid. They don't like the job. They just are there because they think that they are forced to be there. Not a very happy life. Then there is a second level, and people who go there because of some motivation, some good thing that they will get. And they work for a reward. The more you will pay them, or who will pay them more, there will they work. It is their choice. This is their motivation to wake up in the morning. They, I think, are far more happy than the first level of people who go there for fear. But because if you have to spend some important part of your life in a fear, or don't without liking what you do, then it's not a really nice feeling. And then there's a third category of people who are doing something just because they like it. There are no fear. They are not motivated by the reward. They do it because they like it. And that's the way yoga should be. If you have found your dharma, as we were talking in the first and the second principle, and on the cross of there, then if your motivation is the fact that you like what you do, and even better if you are rewarded for it with the nice amount of money, or whatever is the things you need, or how you get paid, then this is fantastic. And this yoga is teaching us that we should do what depends on us as far as we can. And then when things get out of our control, then we rely on the higher forces to accomplish or finish things that are started. This is our karma, situation of karma. But we will discuss probably on this topic more some other time. Well, we did manage to talk about some other yogas like yoga of sleep, the yoga of touch or nyasa yoga, of some arts, and we didn't speak about advanced types of yoga like the yoga triad, tantra yoga, yoga of union, and yoga of amorousness, or in a condition of being in love. The three last ones are quite secret ones, but in a few words, I really hope we will have a chance to look on them in the future. So this was the lesson number 5, and I remind you that my name is Evgenia Vasa. You are watching the lesson, yoga lesson of Open Yoga, and all the materials are available on the website yogaopenyoga.com. There you can find information how to contact us, as well as when we are going to meet the next time. So good luck with your yoga studies. Hope to see you again the next time. And best wishes to you. So bye-bye.